Welcome here to Kyiv, Russia. I am at the Lavra of the name of the Lavra.
Kyiv Caves Lavra.
The Kyiv Caves Lavra. I'm here with Father.
Yes, Father Nicodemus.
Father Nicodemus, who is the monk who knows English, and he's going to give us a tour of this beautiful Orthodox monastery with more than 200 monks. This is going to be absolutely fabulous. So he's allowed me to turn the camera on, and now he's going to show me the wonderful things in this beautiful ancient monastery. When was this monastery founded?
Our monastery is supposed to be the most ancient and the most important in Kyiv Rus. It was founded about 1,000 years ago. It was a recluse monastery, and it was separated from the main city of Kyiv by lakes, forests, and not a lot of people could even come here. And nowadays it's situated in the very center of the capital of Ukraine, and it's called Lavra because from Greek it means very long street, and you can see here streets like in a city. So it's supposed to be a city in the city.
Now, I thought Lavra had a technical meaning of hermits who live together. Is that true?
Yes, initially monks here, they would like to live separately, like recluses, but even in the 11th century, it seemed to be not easy in our conditions, and they decided to take rules from Greece, from Mount Athos, to live together and to pray together, to work together, to have the common meal, and so on. Now we can turn to the right through this street, heading to our most ancient caves, from where our monastery was founded.
Okay, so this is a unique monastery because it has catacombs where they bury the saints. So this is really fascinating. Now, what are all these? The buildings where the monks live?
No, the monastery is the very heart of our Lavra, but we have some other Orthodox organizations right here. In this building, for instance, the students of Theological Academy and Seminary are living. They study here. Also, we have administration center. We are going through it, where our primate usually lives. And here's right here. Also, we have a lot of museums. State Reserve right here on the Upper Lavra.
Now, what is the name and the title of the top monk in your monastery, the one who rules the whole place?
So we have the so-called manager of the Lavra. He is vice-gerent of our primate of our church, because the head of our church is supposed to be the main head of this church, of our monastery, but he has a lot of obedience, a lot of work to do, and he can't rule our monastery directly. So our Metropolitan Pavel is abbot of our monastery. He's living all the time right here, and he is our chief, so to say.
Now, in your church, is it true that your bishops are always former monks?
Yes, it's true, because our bishops, as well as in the Catholic Church, they can be married.
Okay. So all your bishops have a good formation in monastic life?
It depends. As you remember, Saint Ambrosius of Milano, he was deacon priest only one day.
Okay.
Yes, and immediately they decided to make him a bishop.
Oh, so that's possible also in your church?
Sometimes, but not nowadays, because we don't have now so saint people.
Okay, so I'm going to ask some silly questions because my viewers are Roman Catholics, so they've never seen anyone dressed like you. So is this a priest's hat or a monk's hat?
It's a monk's one, and we use it just walking on streets, walking and so on.
Now, I see it has a black ribbon around it. Does that signify anything?
Nope.
No.
Just ancient tradition.
Now, in your tradition, the monks grow a beard. It is obligatory to have a beard.
Yes, and even if you remember also ancient popes and bishops, they was necessary for them to have a beard and even long hair sometimes, no? And this tradition is kept until now in our church, and it's mainly concerned about monks, but also we have married priesthood. It's about half of our priesthood, maybe. They can be bishops, but still they are priests. They can serve, and they have a lot of children sometimes. So they have other rules. It's not so necessary for them as for monks
He is truly risen. I know that much. Okay. Black. Why do your monks wear black? What is the spiritual significance?
Black color means that you are separated from the world. But we are living in this world, but in the same time we are separated from it because we have our own rules, and usually monks, they don't have any work outside monastery. They don't have salary, they can't get married, and that means that they are a bit separated from the world.
Now, if a young man wants to become a monk in this Lavra, how old does he have to be before he comes?
It depends on our laws in our state. So when people get about 18 years, it's up to them to decide whether they would like to get married or to become monks. And
this year, did you have any new vocations come and say they'd like to become monks?
Yes, anytime we have a lot of new novices, so to say,
Novices?
right here, yeah, and they can become monks as well. But before the tonsure, they need to be a bit tested and to decide whether they would like it or not, because it's very unusual life in our days to be always in the monastery, to pray here, to work here. So it's
Now,
up to them.
explain the statute. Let me get this all in this vision here. Who are these two men?
These are very famous saints, Saint Cyril and Methodius.
Saint Cyril?
Yes.
And Saint Methodius?
Yes. And they were enlighteners of our land. So they created our ABC
Alphabet.
alphabet, yes. And they also translated from Greek to our language Holy Bible and other liturgy books.
In life, did they actually come here to this monastery?
Not right here. Usually they preached in the western part of Ukraine.
Okay. And do you celebrate their feast on the same day together as brothers?
Yes, and this day is supposed to be a feast of our language.
And what day in the year is that?
They lived in before 10th century.
No, I mean, but like, is it in February or March, their feast day?
It's in the end of spring, as I remember.
In the end of spring.
Yeah.
And the language they created is Slavonic, and you actually pray in Slavonic in this monastery. So,
Yes, it almost is the same.
so this is one of the unusual places in the world where the Slavonic language still exists. This is an absolute monument to Christianity here. This is
Well, in
wonderful.
fact, not in our church we are praying in Slavonic. Also, for example, Bulgarian church, Serbian church, Serbian, Bulgarian, and some others. And for example, Romanian church, about a century ago, they were praying in the same language as we do now.
Yes, I do. But they now use their vernacular, their modern languages, right?
Yes, outside monastery, outside churches, we use Ukrainian, Russian.
As much as you know, how many monasteries, lavras in the world still use Slavonic in the Divine Liturgy?
Monasteries or lovers?
Yeah, monasteries and lavras. How many still use the Slavonic in the Divine Liturgy?
It depends on the church. For example, in Greece, on St. Assos Mount, in Ras Monastery of St. Petrimon, they use the same
They use Slavonic.
Slavonic, yeah.
Okay, okay. This is wonderful. Okay, so we are on our way to the catacombs. So
Yes.
this is a huge monastery. How many buildings? How many hectares large is the monastery? Do you know?
It's about 40 hectares and 100 buildings right here we have. But currently our Lavra is divided into two parts. This one, the lower Lavra, it's opened every time. The entrance is free of charge for everybody, and it belongs to monastery. We have services here, brethren living right here, but also we have state preserve. The upper Lavra, you can see it right there on the left. And it's like a museum, state museum.
And so that one is not used as a monastery anymore.
Sometimes we have such agreement to have our services in these cathedrals of the Mission of Orthodox.
Was it under the Soviet era that property was separated from the Lavra?
All Lavra was like a state museum, and civils were living right here. It wasn't all the time the monastery.
Okay. How many chapels or churches do you have on the grounds here?
It's not easy to say. For example, underground we have 6 small churches, but underground, but upper ground on the left you can see one church. We have dozens of them, and new churches are opening almost all each year.
Now you're a priest. Do you celebrate the Divine Liturgy every day at the altar?
In fact, I'm not a priest, just a deacon. Like
Oh, you're a deacon.
assistant of
Okay.
priest, yeah. And we have a lot of priests, and they don't celebrate liturgy each day. They change each other. to do
Okay.
this.
Are all your churches used every day for the Divine Liturgy?
Yes, we have each day on the week, not but in the weekend, but such days like today, 3 liturgies each day. But on feast and weekends, usually we have 7 and more liturgies.
Now, is each church dedicated to a different saint or martyr?
Yes, of course. Or some feast of Theotokos of the Lord.
Who is the saint patron of this monastery?
These are
Is it
our
Our Lady?
fundators. Yes, of course. The Lavra is dedicated to the mission of Theotokos, or as you say, Annunciation. Yeah.
We'd say the Domitian too, because we distinguish it from the Assumption. So we'd say for the Holy Domitian. That's beautiful. So your big feast day is on the 12th of August, or
28th of August.
28th of August.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we call it like a small Easter, like the Easter of Mother
Our
of
Lady.
God, yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. So a monastery is consecrated to Our Lady.
Yes, because it was a very ancient tradition, and it came to us from Greece, from St. Athos, where our founder was blessed to go here to found this monastery and to go like this.
So as monks, you try to follow in the footsteps of Our Lady and get to heaven with her?
It's not easy to be equal to her because she is even higher than angels because he got birth to our Lord Jesus Christ. But she is supposed to be our patron who cares about our monastery all the time.
Okay. I see a very beautiful painting here.
Yes, on the left you can see saints of these caves. It's about 80 saints. Of most ancient caves we have right here, and they're the deepest one, and we can go underground right now.
Now, when you say saints, do you mean you regard them as holy, or your church has canonized them?
We don't know all of saints by names. Not all of them are canonized, but this one who are canonized, they are saints for sure, and they made a lot of wonders during their life and after this, but we have their relics, it's the wonder itself, but the main is their holy life. They were praying all the time, fasting, and sometimes they made mistakes as people do all the time. But the men, they were glorified by the Lord during their death.
Now, you said something that I've never heard an Orthodox talk about, and that is the relics of the saints. Because I know that among the Orthodox you have icons and the veneration of icons, but I've never heard anything about relics. So you conserve the bones of the saints?
We don't conserve them, but they are conserved by themselves, by the grace of the Lord. And for example, in Egypt, if we are talking about mummies, they used special procedures, and they dried these bodies. They covered them by some balms, but we don't do anything like this. The bodies are just laying on the same place where they were buried, and they are kept in the same condition during the centuries.
So you have some what we call incorrupt saints who still have flesh?
Yes.
We'll be able to see them?
Yes, of course.
This is going to be fascinating. Okay. I'll just ask, for the information of our viewers, who is this saint with the red stole here?
It's our second founder, Saint Theodosius. He is the patron of these caves.
Okay.
And he was the disciple, the closest one of our founder, Saint Antonius. And Saint Theodosius, he get the rules from Greece right here. Monks should live.
He was a Greek?
No, all of them were not Ukrainians, not Russians, but
Kyivans.
Kyivans.
And is this
right here.
and what's the name of this saint? This one here.
This one is Theophil. He was a bishop.
He was a bishop, and this is another bishop?
Yes.
Okay. So these two bishops were members of your monastery, of your Lavra?
Yes, because in our monastery we had a lot of monks who became bishops.
Okay.
But inside the case it wouldn't be easy just to get videos because not a lot of light right here.
I have this camera is supposed to work in the dark, so we'll see what we get.
Okay. We'll try because it...
We'll try. Let's see. Let me just show. Here's an icon of Christ the King. I can see that much.
Yes.
And there's what, two of your holy monk members?
Our founders, and they are surrounded by archangels.
Okay, archangels. And here we have John the Baptist.
Yeah, quite right.
And here we have the Theotokos.
Yes.
Okay. Here's one of your saintly monk founders.
Yes.
What's his name? Can you tell me?
Saint Antonius is the founder of our Lavra.
Okay, Saint Antonius. Okay. I'll let you go forward.
We'll try to get silence right there, not to be very noisy.
Okay.
Here you can see the condition of our authentic cells of these caves with two beds. Christos воскрес. Here you can see the heads of holy people. We don't know the name of each of them, but one of these heads belongs to Saint Pope Clement. Here you can see his icon, the ancient saint.
Yes, because Clement was martyred in the Crimea.
Yes,
Mhm.
not far from here. And they are rather working because some source of holy oil is bleeding from these heads, even if they are totally dried. Let's go to our first church, dedicated to Nativity of the Lord Jesus Christ. His icon, and you can see one of our ancient saints from 13th century, and even you can see the flesh of his hands.
And his name?
His name is Venerable Longin. He was sitting near gates of the Lavra.
Was he a priest or just a brother?
In ancient times, mostly they were only monks, not priests.
Okay.
And from his life story, we get known that he was so obedient, and the rules of the Lavra in ancient times were so strict that when even the Prince of Kyiv came here, wishing to talk to our abbot, he was prohibited by this man to go inside because that was land, and the brethren were praying and having some rest after this. So he needed just to wait.
Now, I see you have him in a wooden coffin.
Mm-hmm.
Are there days of the year you carry his relics to the church?
Not this saint, but our most venerable saints, they are getting up to the church because a lot of people come here to venerate them here.
Mm-hmm.
Here you can see the most ancient relics we have here, the relics of Saint Baby, who was killed in Bethlehem by Prince Herod.
And the saint's name again?
Holy Baby. Holy Baby. We don't know his name.
Oh, I see. He's one of the, we call him the Holy Innocents.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And this is an icon of Christ, the teacher?
No. This is the icon of Saint Theodosius.
Theodosius.
The second founder of our Lavra, and here we can see his tomb under this glass.
Oh, he's here under the tomb. Okay.
And when brethren are tonsured, their hair are cut, and part of this is put inside this tomb. It's our ancient tradition.
Okay.
And here you can see also the ancient icon of Theotokos, Mother of the Lord, surrounded by our fundators.
Okay. This is truly a catacombs.
Yes. Here we have part of relics of the nun. Not only men were buried right here, but also holy princess, for example, in other caves. And right here, the nun, the patron of Belarus, Saint Ephrosinia. Her relics totally were put right here and laying right here 8 centuries. Before the beginning of 12th century. Also mine is a head. sometimes we open these relics because we need them to be the vestment to be changed. Only priests can do this, but some deacons or just students can help them to do this. And for example, when I was doing this thing, assisting as a priest, these relics were opened, the Saint Zenon, and we felt very special, very nice fragrance from his relics. Now we are heading towards the cell of St. Theodosius. Usually people are praying inside, so we go there. The tallest church we have in the world, dedicated to St. Theodosius. And when students of academy are injured, this service is holding place right here inside the church. Here is the most ancient church is located, and it's dedicated to Annunciation of Mother of God, when Saint Archangel Gabriel visited her. It's the biggest church we have. Here we have the relics of Saint Vladimir. He was the Metropolitan of Kyiv, and he was killed, the first priest who was killed by the communists in the beginning of the 12th century. Okay, let's go another direction. Don't be surprised, sometimes we have ill people coming here. Sometimes they are supposed to be obsessed by devils, and they even can't come inside caves because of the holiness of this place. But those who can come here, or they are led by others, they feel very unusual condition, and they can cry, or just their behavior is sometimes rather weird. Also we had some reclusers, and the last one is Sandinis. He lived in 14th century. This kind of serving God is the most hard for anybody. That's why not anyone was allowed to do this, even in ancient times. But why did Sandinis? He decided to become a recluse, to close himself from the world, from other monks, even to live in solitude. it was such an event during the Easter time when, being a priest, he went underground and he was praying and he proclaimed Christ is risen. There was nobody alive except him, but he heard from relics from some people that indeed he is risen. And he was shocked a lot, and he was so excited, and he decided to dedicate all his life to God.
Now, by a recluse, you mean he lived in this cell and it was all walled up?
Yes, yes.
And there was only a hole for food?
Yes, yes, quite right. Yeah, let's go.
In our church, we call them anchorites.
We have also such name for ancient Egypt saints. Also we have martyrs. For example, when Kyiv was occupied by Mongols, this saint priest Lukian, he was killed by them.
Killed by the Mongols.
Yes. It happened in the 15th century. Also some princes and nobles would like to become monks right here, like Saint Fyodor. He was prince of Ostrog, and he's venerated a lot by people from Latvia, for example.
And this is our visit to the Catacombs of the Lavra.